power to thousands. Good morning, I'm Heather Tesh.
And I'm Marshall Cease. As Tropical Storm Cindy digs into the Gulf Coast, we're tracking another tropical storm that could impact the United States as early as this weekend.
But first things first, let's begin with Tropical Storm Cindy.
Winds howled, rain poured down as Grand Isle, Louisiana felt Cindy's fury. It all proved too much for power lines, which succumbed to the strong winds.
Well, speaking of strong winds, a gust of 69 miles per hour was clocked at Lakefront Airport in New Orleans. At last word, at least 37,000 people are without power this morning in southeast Louisiana. Of that number, about 7,400 are in the New Orleans area. Flooding is also taking place in parts of Louisiana and Mississippi.
And flooding and rain remain the biggest threat from Cindy. Meteorologist Mike Seidel is in Biloxi, Mississippi this Wednesday. He endured Cindy coming on shore. Mike, how is Cindy affecting the area at this hour?
Well, what we've seen over the past half an hour is the center moved by. In fact, it came basically right over Biloxi. The wind has shifted offshore. That has pushed the temperature down. Very refreshing. Last night when it was raining, even at 10 o'clock, the heat index was still up in the mid-80s. Right now the temperature is at 68. An hour ago it was 77, so we've dropped almost 10 degrees. Take a look at the water. With the offshore flow, that's pushing the water away. These beach chairs, if you were watching about an hour and a half ago, were underwater. And then over on the other side of me, off to the east, we've been following this pier all morning. This pier was submerged, and all you could see was the roof out there at the end of this pier. That is completely visible. So the water is backing off. Surge was never really a threat here with Cindy, as with most tropical storms. Take a look at how it looked earlier this morning before sunrise. As we had some massive rain squalls come through, wind gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour, and horizontal rain. These rainfall rates at upwards of 2 to 2.5 inches an hour. In fact, we can show you in Mobile, we had 5 inches of rain, a little over 5 inches of rain in 2 hours. So you do the math. That's about 2.5 inches an hour. Compare that to Chicagoland, where it's been very dry. It's taken 4 months to get a little over 5.5 inches of rain. So it came down hard. Boy, I tell you, it rocked me out of bed. That's how loud it was. As far as what we have to go through the rest of the afternoon, the wind will slowly decrease, and we may get some sunshine this afternoon. Better weather for the beaches the next few days. But as we've been harping for the past couple of days, everybody here is very, very concerned about Dennis. Now let's go over to our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. And Steve, what about the worst of Cindy? We've been advertising inland flooding and heavy rain. What's the thinking on that angle this morning?
Well, that's still the thinking, the rainfall threats there. The good news is that it's moving fairly quickly, so that flood threat is going to be relatively quick. Right now, the biggest impacts are well to the east of where Mike is. There's Biloxi where Mike's located. Right now, Mobile Bay, we've got winds coming in there, gusting to 50 miles per hour. Over in Pensacola, we've got wind gusts to 43 miles per hour in that heavy rain band. So those are the two areas that are getting in the strongest onshore winds. But as the circulation here moves inland, it's going to begin to weaken, and all the winds along the coast will start to drop away. And we'll be left with this huge rain area that's going to be pushing off to the northeast. And with the surface heating, you can see how large that tropical moisture plume is in there. With that surface heating over land, that's going to cause some significant flooding. We expect the flood potential to be primarily along this axis. Exactly where it's going to be, we can't tell you for sure, but be prepared for heavy rain all the way up past Atlanta through Friday morning. We have a weak little frontal boundary or trough axis up in here, and the interaction of that with this rain is producing some heavy rain in Alabama right now, and that's going to be spreading toward the northeast the next 24 to 36 hours. So the bottom line here is some power outages still possible along the coast, Mobile, Pensacola area. Wave action is rapidly going to decrease the next 12 hours, but still some dangerous rip currents, and watch out for the potential for flooding over the southeastern United States. Heather, Marshall.
All right, thank you to our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons, and I have a feeling we'll be seeing a lot more of Steve in the days to come.
Yeah.